I'm glad I had children. I had my first baby when I was 17. Like, if I didn't have children, my children saved a lot of lives. Like, they saved my life. Children saves lives.
I think my life would have been different if I would have went to prison with no children, because I'd have been a bitter motherfucker through the whole bit, and I probably wouldn't have been as cordial to get along with. But I had my children to look forward to spending time with when I came home.
Yeah. That's another reason why it was easy for me to quit my job.
Fuck a job.
My children started saying, like, "Mommy, we barely see you." I broke down, started crying, like, fuck this post office, man. I don't give a fuck what happened. Like, I'm steady getting sick. Like, I was going against the grain, getting my ass kicked. And that was the final straw when they was like, "Mommy, we don't see you." And I'm like, oh, hell no.
Hey, you know, all this time they've been teaching the children the hokey pokey, right? It's a conjure. It's a children's conjure. So, the hokey pokey, the steps of it is all telling the children to take part in the mass magic performance. That's why I put my arm in, put my arm out, right?
You shake it all about.
Yeah. When they're shaking it all about, they supposed to be visualizing pixie dust coming off their hands. Yeah. They activating magic. You teaching it to them, right? You don't know it's magic. It's children's magic.
Right.
And it's a couple more of the children. They start coming up with their own when the adults didn't know the hokey pokey was harnessing their magic. Remember when Superboy dropped Superman?
Yeah.
The children started using it for conjure. When the other one,
it makes sense.
It's them songs that little kids make for them to dance to. Any of those songs, listen, any song designed by children for other children to dance to, those are baby children magic practice. The adult that knows the conjure can unlock that energy in the children and turn that love energy up in them, using those things as the vehicle by which you turn that energy up. Right? So in Detroit, we be having, like my man said earlier, we Jit City in this month, right? But when we in Chicago, we was stepping in the name of love. You know what I'm saying? That's what R. Kelly was singing. He still thought he was 8 years old. The dumbass nigga didn't know he was damn near 40.
Yeah.
He don't know. He just think he a kid making music.
Right.
Right? He Rain Man. So he still can tap that magic. It's hard when they have that kind of power to teach them how to grow up. And if they don't have a man around them to teach them how to grow up, they won't never grow up in certain areas, and it'll make them susceptible, like R. Kelly, to being fed children and not being able to know the difference in a 25-year-old and a 12-year-old. Socially retarded. Right? But he's a musical genius. And yeah, so but that children's magic is in there. They got tired of the adults not using it. If you look at all of the children that used to follow those dance steps, they're not like the other children.
No.
They're children that'll go out and get a job. They'll work. They won't ask for a whole lot of stuff. You know what I'm saying? They're trying to use their personal power. Right? Whereas the children right in the generation before that shit, less likely to want to work. They less likely to want to use their personal power. You can see the transition that was taking place through the culture and the music. That's a beautiful thing to see.
It is.
Yeah. All right,
and
so I'm gonna let you drop down. I'm gonna take another one in. I don't know how long.
Okay, I was just singing Miss Mary Mac the other day. That used to be my shit when I was little.
Oh yeah, Miss Mary Mac, dressed in black,
black with silver buttons. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you later. Love you.
All right, sweetie.
All right.
Deloria, Deloria.
Hello, Rod.
What's going on, sweetie? How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. Where you chiming in from?
So I'm actually in Georgia right now, but I'm actually from Peoria, Illinois. So I don't know if you're familiar with that place,
I
that
know where
area.
Peoria at.
Okay, perfect. So actually, I'm chiming in, because I had a question. I had a dream that's kind of been like bothering me a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I just kind of
When you
want to.
say bothering you, what do you mean? Like you can't get it off your mind or making you feel spooky?
I can't understand it. I mean, I feel like I should be able to understand it, but I can't get it off my mind, and I'm trying to understand it.
Okay.
Um,
Now, when a
mhm,
dream stay on your mind, it's the difference in the dream that bother you and the
okay,
dream that stay on your mind. The
okay,
dream that bother you is a warning. The dream that stay on your mind, it's going to stay on your mind because you're trying to figure out what the meaning of the dream is. So there's a
exactly.
difference. That's why I asked the question.
Okay,
So tell
yeah,
me the dream. Take it from the top. Tell me the dream, and let's see what we come up with.
okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm on this ship, and I know it's in outer space because I'm working in a lab, and there's a window, and outside the window I can see the stars. I can see outer space. And so on this conveyor belt, I'm in like a lab. I have like a lab partner, and on this conveyor belt we have these clay molds of babies, and basically our job is to put the life inside of the baby. So when we do it, the babies instantly turn brown. Like that's the first sign of their life, and then we wait for
Okay,
them to.
you can stop
Uh-huh.
right there. That's not a dream. That's why it's bothering you. That
Oh,
was actually happening in the development of the earth when the sisters decided that they would let earth be inhabitable. That's what y'all was doing when y'all was creating the human. And spiritually,
hmm,
you was going back to the spiritual nexus of the location where y'all was doing it because you was one of the doulas that was overseeing the project.
okay. So, but here's the part that I don't understand. So you're right. That for some reason that part felt natural, but the part that's on my mind is that as we're doing this, I got another baby clay mold, and when I put the life into it, the color never changed. It stayed white, but the baby woke up and was alive. And I just remember thinking like we both kind of looked at each other like that's not right, but we let it go through because it was alive. But that's the part that's that
That's
I can't get.
actually that was the actual response when they created um, the artificial humans, the artificial souls they couldn't ascend. That's why they
Mm-hmm.
didn't turn brown, and that's what made the wolves, all of the guardian wolf spirits of the earth converged in Europe. And this is how we discovered the anomaly because they was never supposed to go through that cycle where y'all
Yeah.
could see them. So after y'all seen a certain amount of them, y'all called the Queen of Heaven and Earth and explained to her that there's an anomaly going on, and y'all didn't have an answer for it because somebody's doing something on Earth. Y'all can
Oh, okay.
so you going back in the spirit realm where you
Mhm.
transfer souls into forms, into bodies.
Mhm.
And so once this was discovered, she called for the guardians, the earth guardians, because they was being reported that the earth guardians wasn't on their post, which is they wolf spirits, but they personify as giant fucking wolves when a crisis is taking place on earth. So
Okay.
this is why you have the story of Romulus and Remus suckling from the she wolf, right? They said
Mhm.
that Remus got murdered and Romulus became the founder of Rome, or maybe it's backwards, but
Mhm.
because I always get them mixed up. But anyway, so this is why that story is in the historical record. So when the in Kemet, we was doing the cyclic repeat of the holy drama,
Mhm.
and so the Queen of Heaven and Earth was stationed at that time in Egypt. So when they brought her, when they found the wolves, they was guarding the cave. And when they went in the cave, they discovered a bunch of malformed beings in there, but they didn't know they was malformed. They just didn't know what the fuck they was.
Right. Okay.
So they
That's
took
odd.
him back to Egypt to present one to the Queen of Heaven and Earth. And when she seen it, she said, "What manner of beast is this?" And none of the scientists knew what the fuck they was looking at. And it's, birth defects.
Right.
Right. But they were sentient, but they came to sin in that condition because the soul can't expand to its proper development when the body that is being used to train the soul is malformed. Right. So we begin to see birth defects for the first time. And this is what told us what was being done on Mount Sinai.
Okay.
Right. So it's more to it. I went through all that on the video series with Young Elder. So she ordered that the good got to punish with the bad because you can't throw people away like trash.
Right.
And you going to be treated, the people you mistreat going to be the same motherfuckers mistreat you.
Exactly.
And because you so high and mighty, somebody got to bring you down and show you that it's no matter how big and bad your ass is, Big Mama got a remedy for all you motherfuckers.
Exactly. Yep.
And that's how we end up in this condition to this day. This is the end of it. And that's why my mom say, "I'm so glad trouble don't last always." We was in fucking trouble.
Yep.
We got in trouble with the Queen of Heaven and Earth because we let these motherfuckers come down here and do something they ain't got. So she whooped our ass.
Yeah. I'm getting my ass whooped, definitely.
No, it's time, ass whooping time over with. That's over with now. Now it's time to celebrate the return of the Sweetwater.
I'm ready. I'm so ready.
I told you we about to have Mardi Gras or every major city. Mardi Gras, Mardi Gras.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
They talking that doomsday shit. Fuck, that's just some scare tactics to slow your progress down. We about to have Mardi Gras. From Maine to Arizona, from Alaska to Florida, from motherfucking the Canadian North of Nova Scotia to the bottom of Argentina. We finna turn up on these motherfuckers.
Hey, so my next question, real quick, and then I'm gonna let you go. But my last name is Artis, Artis. I'm guessing that's a Canadian French name, more Canadian on the
That's
more
a
likely.
profession.
Oh, really?
Your name is so somebody in your family established your last name because they was an artist.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. Now, what kind of artist depends on, you can look at your family and you can see what y'all have a penchant for doing.
Yeah.
Right. You got singers in the family, or you got painters in the family, or instrument players in the family. But when you got the name artist as a clan name, they all got different art forms that could be associated with the clan.
Okay, because I got 13 brothers and sisters, and I'm probably the only one that is not an artist. Every one of them, they all have a specialty, like a art, like you're saying. But I don't know. I just figured that it was more like a French. But okay.
How many children you got?
I don't have any kids. I don't have none.
Because you might be, this is the craziest shit, y'all women do this shit. But you might not want to express your artistic talents with the world right now. You might be saving it so that you can use it to develop the artistic talent in your child. As they see yours develop, they'll follow the suit. So you could be just waiting to be a mother in order to turn that on.
That you might be right, 100%. You might be right. Yeah.
Look here. Watch my opinion. You see it?
You a doula, yeah. I thought about that. I wanted to be a nurse. I actually like children, but I just don't have any. So I mean that makes a lot of sense. Okay. That makes a whole lot of sense. Okay.
Right. Because that came up earlier in the conversation we having related to what you was doing in the spirit realm.
Okay.
So it would make perfect sense that if you had a drive or the attraction to be in the doula, you would probably be one of the best ones. Right. So like I wanted to be a doctor. But when I caught my felony, I couldn't be an MD, so I turned into a witch doctor. It's
Okay.
real, it's the way.
You're
That's what
right.
my mama told me.
100%.
I told my mom, I said, Mama, I couldn't be a doctor and like my cousin Calvin, because we supposed to went to med school together.
Mm-hmm.
But I had C's and D's anyway. I had grandiose delusions at the time because I wasn't finna get in nobody's medical school with C's and D's. But that was our, our thing. We were both gonna be doctors.
Mm-hmm. And
So he went on to be an MD. So I couldn't be an MD. So what the fuck? What kind of doctor can I be? And then I looked at my family line and I was like, shit, I'm gonna be a witch doctor.
But you know what? I when I first started going to school, I wanted to go to school for a nurse, but I just could not do the school. I just couldn't do the classes. It's just something that I just couldn't. I had to take all these other extra classes. It just didn't fit. And so I never completed school for that. But that was something that I, always wanted to be, was a nurse. But yeah, that was.
So the way that we teach in the doula center is not going to be like the university.
Mm-hmm.
As a doula, you got a wide breadth of knowledge you have to assimilate.
Mm-hmm.
But when you first come in, we don't drop every fucking piece of information you need on you. You're not gonna realize until you get to a certain point that, goddamn, I went through all that in that short period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But doulas are taught hands-on by doulas.
Exactly.
Taught
That's how I learned. Yep.
You start off, you might have to be the one that fold her towels and watch.
Mm-hmm.
Go get the water while she's doing whatever she's doing. But she's instructing you and showing you the intricacies of being a doula.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The birth maidens is what they used to be called in ancient times, using the English language as a translation. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They was referred to as birth maidens, would be the English equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
And most of their life, because you learn, the doula doesn't stop assisting the mother until the child go off to their rites of passage. So we talking in modern terms, not until they enrolled in real school, kindergarten and preschool, the doula still assessing the child.
Mm-hmm.
When the doula finally give her final report, she's telling the mother, your child has a drive to do this, so you should put this in their path to make sure they learn so they can strive for their best life according to these parameters. They study the child. Childhood psychologists was doulas.
Mm-hmm.
And they got so many things that they are responsible for, but because it's the way that it's taught and the way that it's assimilated, it doesn't seem like you're doing nothing but being a good ass auntie that just know a lot of shit.
Okay, I'm so sorry. I got one more thing. Like the way you just said that. Okay, so when I first moved to Georgia, I stayed with my sister, and she had two little girls that were very young. And my sister was so mean. She would say some of the worst things, like, call them bitches, saying you're not gonna ever be nothing. I wish I would have aborted you. And so I'm hearing all these things with my own ears. And so, I'm trying to talk to them. I'm trying to talk, like, that's not true, whatever she's saying. I'm really there for them. And it got so bad to a point where nothing that I would say, like, it's just, I know that's their mom, but it was just like nothing that I would say or do will overwrite what she's done to them. And so I just kind of like gave up and moved out once they got a certain age. Once they got old enough, I moved out and moved on my own because I just felt like there was nothing else I could really do, because nothing was sticking. Like I said, it's almost kind of like everything that she said, it just kind of overwrote any type of positivity that you would try to breathe into them.
You'd be surprised. So the way that the children, they might come off with the mother's imprint as a primary, but if you still giving them love, when it come time to trust somebody, they're gonna come to you.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. They tell me everything.
So the problem is your sister's the one need the help.
Yeah, I think she's beyond help. She's delusional at this point.
Mama said you don't give up on nobody until they gave up on themselves. And you don't know a person that haven't gave up on themselves. They might just don't know how to get from under the stress.
That could be true.
she don't know how to cope with her stressors, so she takes it out on the children, the weaker people.
Yeah.
Right?
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
So the goal is to teach her to be more self-confident, and she'll be less mean to the children.
Okay.
She got low self-esteem. All of the
Mm-hmm.
things that she's doing to her children, it's the same as the people that cut themselves.
Yep.
Right? It's
Trying
not
for
that
help.
she don't love her children, because she'll fuck somebody up about them.
Mm-hmm.
But she don't understand that she's fucking them up by the way that she's interacting with them. Later on, when she wake up to what she's done to them, the remorse, she might not be able to overcome the remorse.
I don't think so, because, I mean, it's horrible. I don't know. I never thought a mother could ever treat their daughters like that, especially girls, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But but you know what? Thank you so much. That was all I had. I'll let you take another caller, but thank you so much. I appreciate everything that you said to me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for coming in, sweetie.
You're welcome.
Reciprocity of energy. So look, a lot of times, these mothers are not properly pair bonded. This is why doulas is so important. They're not properly pair bonded with the child, because instead of allowing the cycle of the oxytocin and endorphins to cycle through the child back through the umbilical cord, the psyche is told that the child is stillborn, and the mother is seeing the child and she's conflicted in her deep emotions and don't know what it is, so she becomes aggressively abusive to the child. But you fuck with that child, she'll fuck you up. But she doesn't understand that her pair bonding is off because she never had a doula before during pregnancy and in the formative years of adolescence, where the child is developing a personality. So she don't know how to properly connect with the child, and it comes out as abuse. All of this stuff is going to be corrected and treated. And the doulas is going to be more important than the psychs. Psychiatrist is only there to give you medications in order to numb whatever the psychological sensation that they call an abnormality, right? So they're not really there to heal you. The doulas is there to heal you. They don't want you to be miserable with your child. They want you to enjoy your child, and they want you to be properly pair bonded, because the mother that's properly pair bond with the child is a whole different person than the one that's traumatic, the trauma bonded to the child, right? Because it makes them take out negative emotions on the child because they are bonded through a trauma bond instead of a parental bond. And postpartum depression, as the sisters say right here, is a critical part or a critical symptom of improper pair bonding. The doulas know what to do. Every one of the sisters is watching. If you're pregnant, make sure that you have a doula or a certified midwife that is familiar with child psychology, because they're gonna make sure that the mother is properly pair bond. They slap the child on the ass, trauma. The child cried, trauma to the mother. Then they cut the cord, double trauma. The baby, the placenta told the mother that there's been an obstruction and the baby is dead. But the mother looking at the child, her eyes is saying, I see the baby right there. But if they don't slap the baby, he has no trauma. Clear the airway, and then you post the baby on the mother's teeth. The baby's supposed to suckle until the placenta releases naturally, at which time the placenta is then either harvested, or some people leave the placenta on until it fall off. But it depends on the doula, which the doulas come in tribes too, right? So we got doulas that teach from a different learning style than a different doula, but they all have one thing in common. They want the mother properly pair bonded with the child so that the child can have proper mothering as it grows, because it changes the way the adults are made, and it changes the way that the adults behave. If we don't get a hold on this shit soon, we're going to be producing more derelicts. We don't want that shit. They was doing that shit to be fodder for their prisons and their work camps. So I'm gonna take another sister, but that's an important issue that and the women need to be aware of.
Hey, peace, how's it going?
Good. How you doing, sweetie? Tell them where you chiming in from.
From Arizona.
Arizona, goddammit, all in the desert.
Yes. Yes, I was actually tapping in because my brother and I, we went camping Friday and we just came back today. But yesterday when we were out there, it was weird because like when we were sleeping in our tent and I was laying down, I kept hearing like this humming noise. And it just kept going for like the longest. And then like when I turned my head, then it stopped. And then it just kept going. And then like an hour later, I heard like, it almost sounded like females in a hyena scream. And it was like, sounded like 8 to 9. And it was like all together. And then it was like that for like 30 minutes and then it stopped.
Mm-hmm. It sound like it was either jackals or foxes. They make those sounds. Sound like hyenas.
Because I'm thinking like, I was telling my brother, I was like, man, this whole life has been so powerful. Like even this one that you went on this morning, but the previous caller that was on here, she was mentioning about like nursing and you mentioned about psychology. And I was telling my brother, I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Cause like right when I got out of high school, I went to school for psychology and I couldn't understand. I didn't like the reading. So I just stopped doing psychology. And then I went to school and got licensed in massage therapy. And then I started to go to school for nursing. And then when they made it was going to stop nursing, but it's like always had a thing to be with children. I love being around children. And I was telling my brother, like if I went through the nursing program, I wanted to be in the ward that was like with children and mothers.
Mm-hmm. So one of the things, there's going to be a lot of like women who couldn't have children, right? There's going to be a lot of them that's going to volunteer for some of these children taken with special needs, taken from tunnels, right? Some of them, their eyes got fucked up from being kept in the dark their whole life, 8-10 years. You know, some of them have issues with their entrails from being abused, all kind of psychological issues from being abused. And the only thing that's going to overcome all that abuse is a whole lot of love.
That's crazy. It's crazy you said that because I actually had gotten a procedure done in 2016 and I had to get my tubes removed and they told me I wasn't able to have kids naturally. I can only have kids
intravenous test tubes.
Correct. But
in vitro fertilization.
Yes, correct. They said the same thing to my mom too, and they said that she wasn't able to have kids, but she was able to have 2. So, but during that process, like after learning that news, like it took me a couple years to understand that, and I was depressed through that time because it's like that's something that I've always wanted to have, you know, to have kids naturally, and it's like I'm still trying to understand the process and all that, like saying that I'm able to have kids because I still feel like I'm still able to have kids because my mom was able to, but I don't know. It's just like kind of iffy. I don't know.
Your mother had the same surgery you had?
No, she didn't.
So your surgery is the issue, right? If they took your fallopian tubes. So in vitro fertilization will harvest your egg and match it with the sperm and put it in like you know, that's how they do in vitro fertilization.
Right.
Right. And in that case, you might be extremely fertile. Right. A lot of times they put more than one fertilized egg in, and you have a multiple birth. Right. So that's something to think about. But I will wait till after the medical system is revamped, because a lot of the things that they was doing is unconscionable to tell the people.
Right.
Right? Like, it's a good chance that they didn't need to take your fallopian tubes. One of the things, every woman need to know this. If your pH balance in your vagina is alkaline, none of the stuff, cancer can't live there, venereal disease can't live there, can't function in an alkaline environment, right? And you normally know when it's acidic because it has a scent that comes with it that the woman doesn't like herself.
Right.
Right. So this is why it's important to keep the yoni balanced, chemically balanced by periodically they got yoni priestesses that teach vaginal health on a deeper level.
Mhm.
Right.
I remember you guys were talking about that in the live. I can't remember her name, but I started following her on your IG page. She was talking about it, the yoni and stuff. And this actually yesterday or Saturday, I did some grounding when I was in the field. And when I got done grounding, I was telling my brother, I was like, man, my feet felt so much lighter, like getting done, like grounding, even though it was like 10 minutes, but it felt, my body felt different doing it afterwards.
Yeah. Because people be amazed that right now we are more sensitive to the energy in our bodies because the frequency is changing, and it's more noticeable to us now than it would have been, say, in the 80s.
Mm.
Right. The ones in the 80s, you had to be an extreme tree hugger in order to be able to tap that energy. Now you don't have to be. You just have to be aware of Mother Earth's connection to you, and then ground yourself to her, and it automatically starts to aid in healing.
Mm. Oh, and then another thing I found out. So when I was in massage school, we read this book about Chinese medicine, and it dealt with like the archetypes, like the earth, fire, water. And I learned that I was the earth type, but I'm not sure how to go upon with that.
When is your birthday?
April 28th, 93.
What's your zodiac sign? April. That's Aries.
Taurus.
Taurus.
Yes.
So they tell you an earthbender, basically. The earth sign are more stubborn, harder to handle, more determined. When they set their mind to something, it's harder to stop them. Right? Fixed energy. Taurus is notoriously stubborn, but notoriously stubborn with one of the best hearts you want to see. They give you their last, right, if you don't ask them for it. If you ask them for it, they might think you up to something. They don't give you shit. But if you don't ask them for it, they'll see what you need and they'll give it to you on their own, and then they'll feel the satisfaction that they want to know they're doing good. Yeah. So to try to make a Taurus do something, you're gonna make them not do it. The harder you try to make them do it, the less likely they is to do it. But if you ask them nicely and say please, then get out their way so they can get the job done.
That's so crazy you said that, because I feel like that's how I am with my job. So like I work on a military base. I was in the Army, but I got out last year, but I worked there full time. And like I was telling my brother, I felt like they got so used to me when I was in the Army, like them ordering me to do something, like, yes, I'll do it. But now that I work on a state side, I'm just like,